want is to be loved. It's all any of us want from you.
From the latest instalment of an award-winning drama about Britain's royal family to a dive into the fight against the Islamic State group, welcome to all that's new in television this November. And for that, I'm joined by Alison Sargent. Hi, Alison.
Hi, Olivia.
Now, we're starting with a show that, like the Queen of England herself, needs almost no introduction. The Crown. We're on to season 4 now.
That's right, Olivia, the much-awaited season 4. Now, for anyone who has not yet heard of The Crown, it is a historic but fictional drama centered around the reign of the current Queen, Elizabeth II. This season is the one many people had been waiting for because we finally get to see the portrayals of two iconic women, Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher and Lady Diana Spencer. Now, Thatcher is made incredibly likable, some might argue too likable, by Gillian Anderson, and then a very teenage Princess Diana is embodied by Emma Corrin. Take a look.
What does one have to do to get some kindness in this family?
In time, she will give up her fight and bend, as they all do.
And if she doesn't bend, what then? She will break.
So this show, which is being shown on Netflix, has had awards, worldwide acclaim, but this season in particular is getting a lot of criticism. Some wonder if it's maybe gotten a bit too close to home.
Yeah, Olivia, well, what makes this season the most compelling, but also potentially the most problematic, is that it's very close to current day. It's dealing with a lot of people who are still alive and events that many viewers are going to remember. The show's creator, Peter Morgan, has said he's just doing his best to tell the story of this family, and, quote, "You sometimes have to forsake accuracy, but you must never forsake truth." That, of course, is complicated, though, when the truth that you're dealing with are people's personal experiences. We had France 24's Emerald Maxwell dive into some of those issues for us.
And who is the senior?
I am. Mum, did that really happen? Viewers of The Crown could be lulled into thinking it all did. The big-budget glossy drama is built around true events and real people, but it comes with a big dollop of creative license.
When you're dealing with royals, much of what we want to know, we're never going to know. It's not written down. It's all supposition. It's all hearsay. It's all rumour. So that, of course, is tantalising, and it's why such a drama is really popular, but it also makes it not a work of history, and I think that's really important to bear in mind.
Although it follows a sequence of real events, such as in season 4, the Thatcher years and the IRA's assassination of Lord Mountbatten, nearly all the show's dialogue and many of its scenes are pure fabrication. Blurring the line between fact and fiction isn't new, but becomes more problematic when the people concerned are still alive and in line to the British throne.
How many times can this family make the same mistake?
The show notably dramatises the love triangle between Prince Charles, Diana, and Charles's former girlfriend and current wife, Camilla. It's been criticised for being one-sided, for example, inventing that Prince Charles called Camilla every day in the early years of his marriage to Diana.
These are kind of sensitive issues, and of course they bring back to mind all of the turmoil of those years and the very negative portrayals of Camilla, which, of course, over the last 20 years, the palace have done a great deal to try and overturn. And Camilla's reputation has been really rehabilitated, and she's seen now broadly favourably by the British public. So I think the royal family will be concerned that this drama might start to kind of push back against that progress made.
The final 2 seasons of The Crown are expected to feature more sensitive events, such as Diana's death in 1997. Those hoping to see Prince Harry and Meghan enter the plotline, though, will be disappointed, as the couple reportedly ensured that the series wouldn't catch up with current events when signing a partnership with Netflix in September. A deal that nonetheless raises eyebrows.
I think it must be incredibly difficult for Prince Harry to be in bed with the company that's broadcasting a show that is so demeaning and so belittling to his parents.
The Crown, though, has reignited interest in the British monarchy worldwide, arguably helping bring to life remote, two-dimensional figures. though viewers would be advised to take it all with a pinch of salt.
Now, people close to the royal family, including Princess Diana's younger brother, are calling for the show to add a disclaimer reminding that it's fiction, and it will be very interesting to see if Netflix decides to oblige.
Yeah, fiction, but of course heavily inspired by reality. Now we're staying with recent history, a lot more recent. Next series is about a young Frenchman who gets caught up in the fight against the Islamic State group.
Yes, Olivia, this show is called No Man's Land. It's co-produced between the French channel Arte and Hulu. The main plotline is about a young Frenchman, Antoine, played by Félix Moati, who travels to Syria in 2014 at the height of the Islamic State group's power. He's searching for his sister, who is believed to be dead. He ends up getting sucked into the action alongside the mainly female Kurdish fighters. On the other side of things, we meet a trio of British guys, childhood best friends, who have just arrived to join the Islamic State group. The show is written by a team of mainly Israeli writers. It's part espionage thriller, part emotional family drama. Take a look.
We always knew this was a one-way ticket.
The pressure's getting to you. If it's too much, you need to tell me.
No, I want to finish the mission.
I'm not living without my sister.
So the backdrop there is the Syrian conflict, but the real focus of the show is the Westerners who've chosen to become involved.
Yeah, Olivia, it's really about the personal lives of these characters and their relationships, both with the war and with each other. We get flashbacks into many of their lives, the three British boys growing up poor and bullied in London, what happened between Antoine and his sister that led her to cut ties with the family. There's also the Kurdish fighter, Saria, played by Suhaila Yacoub, who grew up in Paris, but is now extremely committed to the war and to her fellow fighters. For the most part, it is an outsider's perspective, and that's led to some criticism of the show for being a little bit Eurocentric, but the outsider element is also part of what makes it so engaging. It's not a documentary. It's not your typical Homeland-style spy thriller, although intelligence agencies do get involved. You're really coming into the war with total amateurs, experiencing all of the bloodshed and the brotherhood right along with them. It will absolutely have you on the edge of your seat, and season 1 really lays the groundwork for a potential season 2.
Looks fascinating. Well, No Man's Land explores outsiders wrapped up in the Syrian conflict, and the next show, Ethos, takes us to Turkey with an intimate look at the lives of people in modern-day Istanbul.
Yeah, this is the latest Turkish language Netflix original show. Its original Turkish title is Bir Başkader, which in Turkish literally means something else, and the show really is something else. It's written and directed by 47-year-old Berkun Oya, whose background is in playwriting. It's very introspective, and both the writing and the imagery are quite poetic. Take a look.
Şadiye abla demiş ya doktor sevk etmiş seni. Aldın mı randevu? Hoca dedin mi?
Demedim.
Sen hocaya yalanla mı konuştun?
Abinin hanımı bunun kopmayan yapraklarına bükülmeyen dalına kanmış. Üstümdeki yağmur damlasını gerçek sanmış.
Akıl fikir kalmadı bende. Yuvam yıkılacak.
Yaşayamadığım duyguları yaşıyormuş gibi taklit etmekten sıkıldım.
And looking at that ensemble cast, it's almost as if the characters can be broken into two groups. So those who come from the traditional rural world of the outskirts of Istanbul, and then the more westernized, wealthy, secular city dwellers.
That's right, Olivia. And the connecting link between them is the main character, Meryem, played by Oyku Karayel. She lives in a small town outside of Istanbul, but she goes into the city to work as a maid. The first time we hear Meryem speak is actually to a therapist, Perry, who she's seeing for the very first time. Then we see bits of Perry's life, like going to an upscale yoga class. Meryem and Perry really encapsulate the societal divide and also break it down because of the relationship that forms between them.
And the fact that the show confronts that societal division, those societal divides, as you say, is part of why it's caused a bit of a stir in Turkey.
Yeah, some really praise it for exploring Turkey's divides, but then others have criticized it for what they see as stereotypes. What I found so interesting about the show is the way you see all of the characters really struggling to navigate that conservative secular rift in different ways. Miriam's therapist, Perry, for example, really struggles with her prejudice against women who wear headscarves. There are nods to changes in Turkey under President Erdogan, although Erdogan himself is never mentioned. As one of our correspondents in Turkey actually pointed out to me, everything in Turkey is political. This show also includes a Kurdish family as well as a lesbian character, which in and of that, that self can also be seen as political decisions.
Sounds very dense, very layered. Now, we're ending the show with a bit of nostalgia. For us, definitely people of our generation, I think, a reboot of the early 90s sitcom Saved by the Bell.
That's right, Olivia, definitely a part of my childhood. Much of the original Bayside High gang is back in this reboot from Peacock TV. Lovable airhead Zach Morris is now the governor of California and married, of course, to Kelly. I know, scary thought. Slater and Jesse both work at Bayside High. You come for the old cast, but you really stay for the new teens who are the heart of the show. The new Bayside kids include Zach's equally airheaded son, Mac Morris, and popular cheerleader Lexi, who is actually openly transgender. The new kids at the school include Latina star student Daisy and her football playing best friend Aisha. Now, the woman behind this reboot is a diehard Saved by the Bell fan herself, Tracy Wigfield. She was a writer on 30 Rock, and she really puts a 2020 lens on the old sitcom, tackling issues that a lot of current teens are talking about, such as race, privilege, and gender identity. The tone is less after-school special and much closer to more recent high school shows like Glee or Mean Girls.
Tina Fey being the bridge between 30 Rock and Mean Girls there, so that sounds good. Thank you so much for that roundup, Alison. That wraps up today's show, and we'll end with a trip back to Bayside High with a look at the 2020 version of early 90s classic Saved by the Bell. Remember, you can get more arts and culture on our website and on our social media channels too. There's more news coming up on France 24 just after this.
1, 2, 3. The old gang back together again.
Will you go to dinner with me?
Stop eavesdropping.
We're not. We're the Bayside acapella group.
Yeah.
Ah, Bayside.
You have enjoyed your program with Air France Protect, promising you a pleasant trip with total peace of mind.
France by France 24. From the workshop to the catwalk, follow the latest trends on fashion. From fine dining to architecture and much more, discover uniquely French talents on You Are Here. Straight talking and frank views from residents of France's tough suburbs who film their lives for the Bonheur Project. An in-depth look at political and social events shaping France in France in Focus. A quirky insider's guide to understanding France and the French on French Connections. Every day, watch France by France 24 on France 24 and France24.com.